Alright, if you want to make the most of heresy, if you're getting sick of sitting behind a barricade and spamming Le Monarch until your index finger goes numb, and likewise, if you're anti-exotic class item and dual destiny, if you just haven't got the role that you're looking for, then this is the build for you. Okay, so first and foremost, where is the build being used? What's it for? If a build doesn't have a mission or an objective, then what's the point, right? We're just talking about a build for the sake of talking. And y'all know if I'm doing a quote-unquote build video, it's going to have a purpose and a function. So the mission here is Court of Blades, which is the gameplay you're seeing. And what's the meta, right? It's ability spam, total damage output by a long shot, right? This isn't a 30-second dungeon or raid boss damage phase, right? This is basically like a 15-minute damage phase, right? So you're going to need to rely on your ability gameplay loop, and if you are going to use weapons, then you need to make sure that you have enough ammo to satisfy them, right? Because you're not going to have enough ammo to satisfy your typical max DPS type of weapons, right? It's a different meta, and you're not going to be effective if you're waiting for your abilities either. So this build makes complete sense, right? And you can see it here in this gameplay where I managed to get a flawless max damage run through, no mic, LFG, something like 11 or 13 million or something crazy like that, while also allowing my teammates to do 30% more damage by constantly debuffing the enemies. Anyways, on to the build, and hence my controversial take here that Synthos is greater than Inmost Synthos. Of course, this is a very generalizing statement, but as it pertains to what I'm doing here in this activity with this build, I do firmly believe this to be the case, and the main reason is Strand Surge and Bladefury. And I guess Sever as a side note as well, since we get extra survivability through Sever this season. But likewise, and more importantly, if you like big damage, then Strand Surge means Bladefury is as good as it ever has been, right? And why this means the core Synthos is better than Spirit Synthos is because core Synthos enhances your melee-based supers, while Inmost Synthos, wherever that is, does not. It used to be the case that Consecration spam alone was better than any super, so there was really no reason to even consider your super as an integral part of melee-based damage, right? However, Consecration is nerfed as of Heresy, and although it is still meta-worthy and incredibly strong, it does bring roaming supers back into balance, and IMO, this makes for a much more fun and dynamic way to play Titan, as opposed to just left-clicking the same thing over and over, so to speak. Also, when's the last time any of you have seen Solar Surge in any of these activities, right? It's been a long time. So again, that's another 25% advantage to Strand when that is surging, right? Because we don't have 25% extra damage from Consecration, but we do have 25% extra to Strand types of damage, right? At least every other week. And on top of that, on top of all that, what got buffed around the same time that Consecration got nerfed? Roaming super regen, right? So this isn't meant to be an argument against Consecration, because I'm obviously still relying very, very heavily on it. I'm just saying there's an argument to be made now to use both Bladefury and Consecration equally, and if I had to describe this build and its objective in a sentence, that would basically be it, right? And don't forget as well, what other super gives you 3 free Consecrations once it expires? None, right? That's the one thing unique to Bladefury people tend to forget about, is that it refunds all 3 Frenzied Blades after use. So the two really do go together now, especially now, like peanut butter and jelly. Now don't get me wrong, although Spirit of Inmost is nice, in the grand scheme of things, Transcendence solves all of your ability spam desires to the point that Inmost, Spirit of Inmost, basically has no function except for the brief window of neutral game where you are playing in between Transcendence and your super, right? And that window is the least important part of our gameplay loop anyways, I mean, as far as damage output. And it's more critical during that period that you build Transcendence, right? And yes, you can build you could build your light meter Transcendence with Inmost a little bit faster because you can spam a couple more Consecrations. But we can do it just as easily, if not better, with both light and dark weapon spam equally, right? And we can easily afford to do this with double special, since we have, I mean, we get ammo in between phases, and since we're mostly using abilities anyways, right, we're saving ammo, and since we're always close enough to enemies to be able to execute special finishers. Now, the downside to this build is obviously ranged engagements, capture point heavy weeks, like this week with the Hive. You have to look for the symbol, sit on a point, break the shield, break the boss's shield, and so obviously your melee-based ability build is not doing anything for you in that moment, right? So there's a few ways that you can get around it. You can switch your weapons, right? You're pretty ammo efficient with even with double special and tractor cannon, especially because you're only using it occasionally. You could probably swap it out to Queensbreaker or Thunderlord or whatever you want. Until it's safe again to go back into the thick of things, right? You can also just make your own, like if you're using LFG, you can make your own posts and you can pick your own fire team, right? You can have people on your fire team covering those ranges for you while you go up close. You can tractor cannon shielded bosses, right? So you can still be up playing in the thick of it, helping your teammates out while they're helping you out, right? Or you can just play Destiny the way it's meant to be played and just pick an entirely different build from the start, right? Obviously that defeats the purpose of this video, but I mean, it's not to act like no one wants to sit at the back of the map behind a Storm's Keep barricade, spamming the Monarch and casting down lightning storms all over the place, right? The point of this build is to give you something different to think about, to be and to be equally effective, if not more so. I would argue even more so in most cases, right? And just to change it up. And this is definitely a nice gameplay loop change up compared to Storm's Keep barricades, right? So what is the gameplay loop? Obviously, we need to build up our Transcendence right away. So we're going to spam light and dark damage types equally. We can do that with Consecration alone and a dark weapon, right? I mean, your Shackle Grenade technically can help you out a little bit, but I mean, Lost Signal is going to go a mile for you, so you can use something like that. As soon as you have Transcendence, you pop it, right? And then you're going to just spam Tractor Cannon, spam your Consecration until Transcendence is over, and then you will likely have Bladefury ready to go. So before you pop it, expend your Bladefuries because you're going to get them back after your Bladefury. This means more total damage output total, right? And at the end screen, your damage numbers are going to be higher because you played this gameplay loop correctly. If you have all your Consecrations before you pop Bladefury, then you're doing 3 less Consecrations for every gameplay loop, right? So when your super's done, again, you just go straight back into Consecration, dark damage, build up Transcendence, and into super, right? So it's build Transcendence, pop super, and you just do it all over again, right? As far as the build details here, right, obviously Bladefury. I like Thruster Dodge, very very good with powerful attraction to scoop up orbs. Shackle Grenade is nice for unstops, and it also means that we don't have to use something like Facet of Dominance if we wanted to go with Pulse Grenade, right? And because it's our champions, it's pretty useful to have your Shackle Grenade, even though Bladefury can also take care of unstops for, you know, a pretty good majority of the time. Basically, when unstops spawn, there's a good chance that you're going to have your super ready to go because of the roaming super regen rate buff anyways, right? Knockout Consecration, just a classical combo there, with Facet of Protection for extra damage resistance. Radiance, since we're spamming our melee all the time and we're doing damage over time from Lost Signal and stuff like that, we can just have 25% more damage. Why not? Pop barrier shields if we have barriers to deal with. Facet of Courage here, not that it's helping out Bladefury, but it is helping out Consecration by allowing us to do 10% more damage to strand debuff enemies that are severed, enemies that are slowed, right? Your teammates are often using dark debuffs as well, even if you're not. right? And then Facet of Purpose for Woven Mail, right? Because we're using Bladefury, we pick up orbs. We have Woven Mail for 5 seconds, so key here is going to be spamming orbs, which you'll see in my mods. And then I decided to go with Facet of Sacrifice here. Although I will say, with this weapon loadout that I'm using specifically, because Lost Signal is easily taking care of my Dark Meter of Transcendence, you don't need Facet of Courage, right? Facet of Courage is more so if you're not using weapons that do a lot of dark damage. But look at my stats. I got way too much resilience. I'm over on resilience, I'm under on discipline, my OCD is going nuts, so I'm just gonna go Facet of Courage, Facet of Sacrifice, just because, and it does give me a little bit more freedom to switch up my weapons here, but this allows me to get that nice even stat distribution of triple 100s in resilience, discipline, and strength, while also maintaining above tier 3 and all my other stats, so basically no penalties, right? As far as the mods go here, I guess for this weapon loadout, I'm obviously making orbs with my weapons, so the new sidearm, what is it called again? Lotus Eater, right? If you farmed the Nightfall the other week there, you can get a Repulsor Brace destabilizing rounds. Basically, it's the heal clipping cadescent version of a Baron action. Super, super good. Destabilizing rounds with the buff and everything like that. So I'll produce a lot of orbs with my sidearm. I can also break barrier shields like that. I decided to go for double heavy-handed, even though I typically just, because of diminishing returns, I typically like to have better weapon feel, so I'll go with like loaders, but because I'm really just spamming melee abilities over and over and over again, and more so than using my weapons, I thought it would be better just to have 5-second cooldown in between orbs instead of 10, right? So if you use 2 copies, it's 5 seconds. And what's the timer on Facet of Purpose Woven Mail? 5 seconds, right? So it's perfect. It means that I could basically have I could technically have constant uptime on Woven Mail because I'm producing orbs every 5 seconds with my melee, right? Which means that the orb is also going to land at my feet, right? Resist mods here, you can change it up whatever suits you, but I would just go all resist. You can throw in a concussive, whatever makes sense. And then I decided to go with Void Scav because I'm running hands-on instead of heavy ammo finder here, just for more super regen. So I decided to go with Scav to kind of make up for not having as many bricks, but when I do get bricks, they're a little bit better. And then I have a holster here, which is very good for Tractor because there's nothing more annoying when you're in the middle of an ability spam, gameplay loop, and you pull out your weapon and then you're stuck reloading it, right? So you never have to reload like this. Tractor is always going to be operable, right? So you can just keep consecrating. Recuperation, obviously, for extra healing. You're going to be using your thruster dodge a lot with powerful attraction, scooping up orbs, and then after you dodge, you have Reaper, so you can get another free orb when you get a weapon kill, and then special finisher because obviously I'm running double special. As far as the artifact mod goes here, I mean, it's pretty obvious. You go with whatever makes sense for stunning champs. I got some void flavored stuff on here for Lotus Eater and Tractor Cannon and Weaken, but the big one is you want Limit Break. Casting super while you're critically wounded or have an elemental buff matching your super grants a period of increased super damage. So Woven Mail is going to allow you to get Limit Break very reliably even if you're not critical. Defibrillating Blast and Flashover just for stunning champs and doing more bolt charge damage. But yeah, that's basically it for the build. Hope you enjoyed. I'll see you in the next one. Take care.